Okay, so we're ready to paint now. And first, I need to put a center dot down. I use crochet hooks for my dotting rods, but they have the millimeter on them so I can tell you how many millimeters they are so that you can match them up with your Happy Dotting Company. So I'm going to do a 10 millimeter center dot. In white. I just usually use white because it's what I outline in. So I just feel like it works with the outline. Just kind of a habit. And I always triple, quadruple dip my center dot so it's nice and plump. And this white paint has been thickened a little bit. So it's got some body to it. Then I'm going to take my white cone and I am going to surround this center dot with micro dots. When you're making micro dots with a cone, you want to squeeze a tiny bit out and then just drop it off. So you're still not touching the tip of the cone to the surface. You're just dropping, transferring the paint. You want, and I don't count these dots. I just get them as close to each other as I can without touching, as close to the center dot as I can without touching. So I'm just barely squeezing a little paint out and dropping off the dot. Cone is great for micro dots. Total game changer. First of all, you can make proper micro dots where you can't with a tool. You can only get them so small with a tool, but you can get them really small with a cone. All right, so what I want to do is I want to do a gradient of the pistachio mint for my rows of dots here. So what I have is I have a little pot of white paint, and I'm gonna put just maybe 2 drops of pistachio mint in there, and stir that around. I just want it barely green for now. All right, and then I start off with the small end of my yellow tool. I don't know the millimeters, but it's the yellow swirly tool. I use Erin Ridley's tools, but I had her make me a set that had the same colors as those swirly beginner sets so that when I'm doing tutorials, people can follow along. But it's your smallest, your smallest stylus end. All right, now this row, we're not going in between these little micro dots that I made. They're too small and too close together. So we are just starting a fresh row. Of dots. Again, as close together as you can get without touching. size to all be uniform and the distance between them to be uniform. Any mistake you make here is going to magnify as you move outward. Tight squeeze on this last one. Whew, made it. All right, then I get my pistachio mint and add a little more. So like 2 more drops. And I'm going to flip my yellow tool over and use the big end now. And really load it up with paint. And now I am going in between the dots from the previous row. All right, and we're just gonna keep going like that. So add some more. I'm gonna add like 3 drops now. I wanna get some green going. And I'm gonna move up to the white tool, big end. Okay. Excuse me. Goodness. All right, so I'm gonna add just a squirt of the green. And up to the blue tool, big end. Really loading it up with paint and tapping to get a little more off of there. Okay. And then quite a bit of green. This is our last row. You really could just use your straight, your pot of straight pistachio mint, but I don't mind it being a little lighter because right now I'm right on top of a pistachio mint background, and I kind of don't want, if I just use straight pistachio mint, this last row is going to really hide in that background. We can get away with it in the rest of the background because we blended out, so these colors have some of the other colors in them, so our top work will show up. But on this pistachio mint, it's just pistachio mint. Now, I'm not sure if I want to use the green tool, or no, I'm going to use the 4mm rod. So 4mm rod. And whenever I use the rod, I always double dip, unless I'm doing my regular concentric rows of dots that would take too long to double dip every one. But for these, I do. The reason I used the 4mm rod instead of the next stylus up was because, one, I don't want to have too much space between my dots, and two, I'm trying to get out to this circle right here, and the green stylus was going to be a little short of getting me there. Now, I dot color on color quite a bit. And you might think that, what's the point if you can't see it? That's another reason I like to add a little body to my paint, because it's a texture thing as much as it is a color thing for me. The eye knows something's there, and it wants to get closer and see what it is. These center dots, you want to take it really slow and be really mindful when you're putting them down, so that they really will look perfect and beautiful. But if you do end up with more space than you'd like between, especially this last row of dots, you can always come in with your cone and do some micro dots between them to fill in the gap. But I don't need to do that here, I don't think, because they're pretty close together. I could. I might. I don't know. We'll see. I'll let it dry before I do anything like that. so there's our core. Now we need to figure out what we want to do with these spirals. We are definitely going to be putting some brush strokes in them because they kind of scream for that. But I don't want to do just brush strokes. So, what colors we want to use? Here's my brush. Can't find my brush. There it is. So I use a really thin rigger brush. I get mine from Julie Drolet out of Canada, and they're super thin. You probably don't have a brush this thin if you're using one of the common brands. So your brush strokes are probably going to be thicker, which means you may not have room for as many as I do. It's no big deal. But just get your thinnest brush that you can find to do these. And yeah, let's look at colors. I think I'm going to stay on the left side of the palette in these yellow-green colors. I'm not ready to bring in the warm side yet. So, but it just depends on how many brush strokes I have room for. I may end up having to bring in one of those warm colors, which is really gonna look weird. Let me see, sometimes I'll wet my brush and I'll make like ghost brush strokes, 2, 3. Yeah, I think I'm only gonna have room for 3, so I should be okay. But just in case, I do have this lighter pistachio mint that I can use if necessary. So set that aside for right now. All right, I'm gonna start with, I'm gonna start with the pistachio mint, I guess. Maybe I should start with the blue. That way if I need to use that 4th color, I can. Okay, I'm gonna start with color number 3 in the pot. So that's the Sea Breeze. And I'm going to take my white tool, big end, and I'm just going to make a dot, 1 dot, right in the top right corner of each of these spirals. So right there, all the way around. Sea Breeze is such a pretty color. Okay, then I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to make some really long brush strokes. You may not make it all the way, but we're going to do our best. As long as it's got the illusion of going to the end. Okay. I like these brushes because they really taper off nicely. They're very pointy at the tip. If you're interested in the link, just shoot me a message and I'll be happy to send it to you. They're kind of expensive because they're coming from Canada, so shipping, you know. Get hit with shipping on them. But they're nice. Most of my dotting, I prefer daintier things. I think it comes from all the time that I spent painting stones, where everything's really small and intricate, and so it's just kind of what I like. I prefer where if you talk to Erin Ridley, my friend Erin, she'll tell you herself that she's a fat daughter. She's a big daughter. She likes big dots, big swooshes. So that's why I like these thinner brush strokes. Okay. Now we're going to move over to the left one to color number 2, which is our jadeite glass. And again, white stylus, big end. This time I'm going to do 2 dots. So I'm going to walk them. So 1, 2. 1, 2. All right. And brush strokes. Didn't have my wrist in a good position at all for that one. Yeah, 3 brush strokes is how many I can do. Looks like. Hopefully you'll be able to fit 3 in as well. I'm just merging those tails at the end. Okay. And now we're going to go to our first color, which is what? Pistachio mint or jadeite glass. Which one was that? The one we just did was jadeite glass. Now we're doing pistachio mint. I think I misspoke a minute ago and said it was pistachio mint we were using, but it was jadeite glass. It was color number 2. I said that right. Now we're in color number 1. Oops. White tool, begin, and now we're going to walk 3 dots down with our pistachio, or with our jadeite glass. No, pistachio mint. Color number 1. And this is really going to hide in here. Half of mine to use the lighter one, but it's all right. Like I said, the eye can see that there's something there. It has a real delicate effect when it's color on color. You can feel free to use whichever colors you want, wherever you want. You could put your warm colors in here if you wanted. It's your art. All right, and then brush stroke. See, when it gets down into this area, we're getting into the blue. so it shows up there. Okay, center is done. Pretty, pretty. And I'm going to take a bathroom break and I'll be right back.